Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Well, Donald Trump and Joe Biden were hardly the only ones on the ballot in this election. There were 470 races in Congress, 435 in the House, and 35 in the Senate, with the GOP likely to maintain control of the Senate and Democrats the House. But there were all manner of ballot initiatives in various states, including one in Oregon that produced a somewhat earth-shaking result. Back to join us afresh is our regular contributor, constitutional lawyer, LibertyNation.com legal affairs editor, and a man who these days we particularly rely on to be our guardian of individual liberty, Scott Cosenza. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Tim.
All right, let's go right to Oregon, where the big news came on decriminalizing possession of everything from mushrooms on up, what they call hard drugs.
That's right, Tim. Oregon has decriminalized possession of every drug. You will not go to prison in Oregon for simply possessing contraband drugs. So that includes cocaine, heroin, you name it. You can either pay a fine or seek some drug counseling, but no longer will people have to go to prison. Now, they won't be able to go buy or, drugs legally in Oregon. This is not having to do with any kind of sales or manufacturing or anything like that. This is merely about punishing people who possess those drugs for their own use. They will not be prosecuted criminally in Oregon going forward. In 4 states, we have 4 new recreational or non-prescription marijuana options: Montana, South Dakota, Arizona, and New Jersey. Now, New Jersey is a blue state, and Arizona may be. We're still waiting to see for sure.
If it isn't one already, it's becoming one.
But for Montana and South Dakota to both join the community of states that say we're not going to put people, through the criminal justice system for marijuana, that's a big change, I think. And again, more and more states and more people in more states saying they're not in favor of criminalizing drug use for people in that state.
Okay, Scott, so that's it for the drug ballot initiatives, but there was another very significant one in California, Proposition 22. After the California legislature converted Uber drivers from independent contractors to employees, this proposition was designed to reverse that. So it was a pretty significant consequence. Tell us why.
This, I think, this may be the most money ever spent on a ballot initiative ever. I think it was over $200 million on the winning side. I don't know how many millions were spent on the other side, but what it does is it allows Uber to contract with people to be Uber drivers without employing them. And the effort and managerial and data keeping and all the other kind of bureaucratic tasks that involve hiring somebody, not to mention the liability incurred, would make Uber's business model either kaput or have to be radically altered. And if that were the case, Tim, for California, that may then be the case for Uber nationwide. So it is a consequential decision for everybody who takes an Uber or drives an Uber or relies on an Uber, to be sure. And also, we keep saying Uber because it's a convenient shortcut, but Lyft, DoorDash, all these gig economy things, and many of which have sprouted up and grown, geometrically in the face of the coronavirus and other people relying on, folks to go to the store for them or what it might be. So this says that those people are not employees. Now, unfortunately, for somebody who's liberty-minded, it does increase the restrictions on how you can engage somebody like this. So there are minimum, for lack of a better term, wages that must be paid outside of the employment designation. So unfortunately, those gig economy workers and the companies that wish to engage them now have more bureaucratic tape to cut through and deal with, but it's not the death knell that the previous law, which was AB 5, delivered to that economy.
Well, the thing is, Uber was always constructed, as was Lyft and the others, on the idea that everybody that works for them would be an independent contractor. The entire business model was based on that, until the California legislature stepped in, supposedly in defense of the little guy, all of whom took on the responsibility of driving for Uber and others knowing what the parameters were.
Let me please just stop you there and just say that it's not fair for us to pretend that this is somehow the other side of that campaign was mounted by just people who wanted to be employees. It's about a union attack on Uber, because Uber's independent contractor don't pay union dues. And the people who wish to collect those dues would do anything legally, certainly at least, to collect them. And this was an effort for them to be able to collect a fee for every Uber ride through the unionization of the riders if they were of the drivers if they were employees. That's what this is about. That's where the money came from to motivate that campaign.
All right, so we'll come back to California if we've got time, but let's go to Illinois first, where there was a ballot initiative about a graduated income tax.
More money was spent on this than any other campaign, except for the Uber campaign we just talked about, Tim, this year. It was a big campaign in Illinois, and basically this was an eat the rich measure, as I see it, and it would allow people of different incomes to be treated differently with respect to the taxing authorities. Right now, in Illinois, if you have to pay income tax, if you make $100,000, you pay the same rate as if you make $1 million, if you make $10 million. I just think that it was great that the people rejected this kind of, division of people that we see oftentimes that wants to take away liberty from people that are particularly financially successful. And another, I think, surprising measure out of California was Proposition 16. Affirmative action was banned in California by proposition some years ago. Well, the people who benefit from affirmative action were motivated to try to reintroduce race-based discrimination in California. Well, the voters of California rejected that by 56%, by the way, at the last time I took a look at the number. So I think it was a positive news for liberty up and down the board on the referenda and initiatives this cycle.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Tim.
Scott Cosenza, legal affairs editor at LibertyNation.com.
Stay ahead of the curve with LibertyNation.com. With one click, Liberty Nation delivers tomorrow's news.
And remember, liberty.
Today.
All the time and everywhere.
With LNTV's Hot Topics and Analysis.
You're looking at people just rising up.
Liberty Nation Radio, The Uprising and Rabbit Hole podcasts. And dozens of insightful original articles. And now, you can keep your kids ahead of the curve with LNGenZ.com. LN Gen Z brings a free-thinking education right into your home for students of every grade level with articles, videos, worksheets, and ready-to-go curricula. While the media establishment giants are sleeping, you can stay ahead of the curve with LibertyNation.com and get tomorrow's news today. Liberty Nation and LNGenZ.com.